Okay, guys. Every time I talk to you, and every time we have a video, we have Mr. Wu, and I always say that we got something extra special, which is great. And before we get into this episode, Mr. Wu's getting the cameras ready, and it is something extra special because we've been getting a lot of requests for FM series, 3As, FM3s, blah, 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 etc. But I just want to mention that we're chugging along, and we need more of your support and maybe some suggestions on what you guys would like to see. And as far as myself, I am going to do a video pretty soon on digital medium formats because I got so many of them. And I have both systems, both Hasselblad and Fuji. In fact, I got about 3 or 4 of them. So I can give you an unbiased, not really a review, but a hands-on on how I've been using them. And what I think were some of the pros and cons. Because I know they're very, very expensive, and it's kind of a debatable subject and sometimes controversial. And so I just want to get the record straight. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that. And we'll get some other stuff. And then Mr. Wu here, who really appreciates your support. And we need to keep the passion going from you guys. And when I look at the analytics, it seems the majority of our audience is 55 to probably 80. So it would be nice to see some younger folks take an interest in it, and we'll start doing more film cameras or whatever they want. Because the digital area is pretty saturated, and I'm not going to get into the, discussions about this versus that, and the 5 best things of this camera as opposed to that camera. It's pointless because they're all good. And at the end of the day, everyone just takes a picture and puts it on Facebook and calls it a day, and you ain't going to know the difference. But they're all good. We just have our own personal opinions, and like myself, I just buy them and use them, have a good time with them, rather than get it stuck in the dogma of the specs of stuff I don't even understand. But that's why this portion with Mr. Wu is so much more fun, because you can't get any more low-tech than this. And this is skill rather than using technology. Okay, so without further waiting, I think Mr. Wu is ready, and we'll proceed. Let's see here. All right. Mr. Wu,
Yep.
looks like we got some awesome stuff here.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
Okay. So today we will feature that camera that has been most requested, the FM3A. But since I might as well bring out all the rest of the family. Now, this is the smaller size Nikon SLR. It came about when Olympus came out with a small camera, or the OM1, and everybody else went back to the drawing board, and they also came out with a smaller version. So the FM was the first one. FM, small size Nikon, compared to the F3, F2, and the Nikon Mat, much smaller. The FM, the first one, they had this locking collar here. You have to use the locking collar when you mount on the motor. So if you want to use it on the motor, you put it on lock, then you can fire. Otherwise, when you use it on the firm lever, you unlock it, then you wind it from here. So shutter 1 second to 1000. Screen non-changeable. You can put a motor, the finder is fixed. So they have the FM. So this is the same. This one is the newer one, the same one. The last one didn't have the locking lever. So, but otherwise, they are the same. So when they move to this series of camera, they change the photo cell. On the F2, on the Nikon F was the CDS cell. So when they move over to here, they replace it with the silicon photodiode. More sensitive and don't have the memory lag. In the CDS, if you point at the dark place and then you point to the bright place, the needle takes some while to get accustomed to the new brightness. So you got to wait a while. So on the silicon photodiode for all this camera, the response is almost immediate, so no memory effect. So we have this mechanical one. Then along the way, they make the FE. They added aperture priority automation. Then the manual speed 1000 to 8 seconds, and they provided you with a backup speed in case of a battery failure. So you can have 90, 190 and B in case there's no power in the battery. So on this one, you could now change the focusing screen from the inside like the Olympus. So you got option to change the screen. The uses the same motor winder. They had the early one MD11 and then MD12. This is the MD11. MD11. This is the MD12. Okay, so you have FE, manual and aperture priority. Then in this 83, if I'm not wrong, let's see, the 83, go back to my notes. Yeah, 83. Yeah, 83 to 87, they came out with this camera called the FA. FA, they had black, they got silver, and then there was a new term that was coined up. They call it the Technorama camera. Now, this camera was Nikon's answer to the multi-mode Canon A1 or the Minolta XD11, XD7. So on this camera, you have multiple mode, the PSAM, program, shutter priority, aperture priority, and manual. And even on the program, they have a high-speed program. In other words, the camera can detect the focal length of the lens and set the shutter speed bias for that focal length. So how they do it is not by electronic means, it's by a mechanical thing. So this is the first camera that started to use the AIS lens. So first you have the rabbit ear, where you got to do the Nikon shuffle. Then after that, you got the AI, automatic indexing. So you can just mount and straight away use. That is on the Nikon F2, F2A, F2 AS. Then on this one, they have a AIS. At the rear of the lens, you find there's a little groove here. They machine a groove here, and all the subsequent lenses, even the autofocus one, they had this groove. Now the depth of the groove will tell the camera what is the focal length. So when it clicks on, there's a little small pin here. This pin here. So this pin depends on how deep or how shallow the pin went. That will tell the camera what is the focal length. So if you to mount a long lens like 135 or longer, 135, 135, we know that you need a higher speed for safe hand holding. So the camera detects, so instead of a regular program, it will set it to a high speed program. It will choose the shutter speed one step higher. So that will prevent camera shake. Now, but that was not the main thing on this camera. The main thing on this camera is that the first time introduced to the camera world is what we call today a matrix metering system. Nikon call it the AMP, automatic multi-pattern. So what they did, if we were just put in a very simple way to explain, at the focusing screen area where they measure the light, they split up the screen into many different areas to measure light. They narrow it down to 5 segments. So there were 5 segments in the screen area. We'll take individual light reading. So when you point it at a subject, the camera will take 5 different readings. And then since it got a microprocessor inside, it will go inside the computer. They already stored in the database about 150 over 1,000 pictures that were taken in all kinds of lighting conditions with the respective aperture and shutter speed. So what the computer inside will do a match. So you took a random reading, then they go to the library and they find the match. When they found the match, then they will instruct the camera to set at that particular shutter speed, that particular aperture. So in layman term, you can take nice picture without thinking. Just point and shoot, and the computer do it for you. Of course, if you're an experienced photographer, you don't need that. You just take normal reading, you know how to make the adjustment. But this one is for anybody. Anybody just point the camera and can shoot. But only thing is that this system works when you are putting in the horizontal. When you tilt it this way, the system don't work. And of course, if you want to go back to the regular metering, you can off the system. So there's a little switch here. You can off it, so then it's back to the normal center weighted. So it provides you a mechanical speed 250 MB, and it have its own motor drive, a different one. This one is the MD15, and how it is different is that they got extra pins here. So the power from the motor also power the electronic. So it powers the camera as well. So you got the motor. So you got the screen. The screen is slightly brighter, also changeable. So they make it silver and black. So that was the FA. Not produced in many numbers. So then in between, we have the FM2. FM2 is the extension of the FM. So what happened is that the shutter speed go up to 1 over 4,000, whereas the FM stays at 1,000. This particular one is with a T, so it's titanium. So titanium top plate, titanium bottom plate, and this front plate here, titanium. I don't really like the FM2, FE2 for one reason only. Because on the older camera, if you have the rabbit ear, I can still shift away this prong and use the rabbit ear lenses. This part here. There's a little button. Push, and this can flip up. You flip up, there, you flip up. So it clears the way, so I can use the old lens, although at stop-down metering, but at least I can still meter. On the FM2, FE2 is now a plastic collar that is cannot be moved. So this one only for AI lens, AIS lenses onwards. So for that reason, I prefer to use the older one because I still have quite a lot of old rabbit ear lenses. But otherwise, this shutter speed is 4,000. You got screen, you got motor, you got multiple exposure. The flashing has gone up to 250 instead of 125. So when the sync went up to 250, although this was designed for advanced amateur, semi-pro. It ended up many professionals start to use this because on the F2, on the F3, the sync speed was only 180, and they wanted a higher sync speed. So some use this series of camera for their professional work. So you got the FM2. I don't have FE2. FE2 is almost same as this, but with the higher shutter speed. So they got this. Then the last one. This one, 1983, 2001 and 2006. This one was like if you are a maths teacher, you say FM2 plus FE2 equals FM3A. So they took the feature of this camera and this camera combined into one camera. So this one, I think up to now is the only SLR camera with a shutter that is a totally hybrid. By that I mean, when you have battery in the camera, your shutter speed range is controlled by the battery, electronically controlled. So you got high speed, 4,000, low speed. But if you take out the battery, the camera still have the full range of mechanical speed from 1 second to 1 over 4,000. Other camera, they have some sort of a hybrid, but not a full hybrid. Like Pentax LX, from 125 to 2000 is mechanical. 60 to lower is electronic. The Canon EF is also somewhat like that. From half second to 1000 is mechanical. 1 second to 30 seconds is electronic. So it's not a full hybrid. Now this one is a full hybrid. From the slower speed to the higher speed, it will work without battery. So in terms of feature, this would be the granddaddy of all them all. In some ways, that's the best ones made so far. But they make so few. Because at that time, the world is already going autofocus, going digital, so this one had a very short production run. But while it works, it's good. So nice FM3A. So we got FM3A. So you remember the match, the formula. FM2 plus FE2 equals FM3A.
Wow.
Yeah. So
amazing. Wow. This is the guys will really enjoy this. Okay, Mr. Wu.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Huh?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.